Whatever happened, Naman had no fault in it. He was a kid, and kids make mistakes. Going near the well was a mistake, not a crime. The crime, however, was coming back to the village. Welcome to Dread Whisper. I'm Vivek and I bring you stories of paranormal entities and phenomena that people have experienced in their lives. Stories that I hope will help you learn more about our world and the world beyond ours. Before we begin, I'd like to ask you guys to please subscribe to the channel. It's gonna help me out a lot, and hey, it's free for you, okay? But it means a lot for me. And before you judge me, I know my camera quality is ass, but my stories are pretty dope. The goal of this channel is to bring you high quality stories that come from people and not AI slop that seems to be plaguing YouTube right now. It's pretty sad to see this. But anyways, enough of this. Thanks for the like though. Now, on to the story. Last time we were at Naman's story, and this part is the continuation of it. So if you haven't watched that part yet, I would ask you to go ahead and watch it, else it's not gonna make sense to you. The last time we saw that something haunted Naman and his family had sought help from an occult practitioner, Gorakhvira. The bracelet that the tantric gave them seemed to cure Naman of whatever that was plaguing him, but it would only be effective if they leave the village. Staying in the village was dangerous for Naman and his family as well. So the very next day, they packed and left the village. Naman had grown up by now. He was 25 and was already working in a good position in an MNC, a nice and cozy home where he lived and took care of his parents. He was engaged now and was about to get married as well. In the meantime, growing up, Naman had already started to believe that paranormal entities weren't real. What had happened in the past was just an active imagination of a scared child. And truth be told, it's a perfectly reasonable conclusion. But he was missing some crucial pieces of information. Naman's parents hadn't told him of what actually happened that night. He doesn't remember the whisperings. He doesn't remember going to Gorakhvira. He doesn't remember getting the bracelet. To him, it was all just a nightmare. And they moved because Dad got a job in the city. Somewhere along life, he had also removed the bracelet that Gorakhvira had given him. Nothing really happened after, and everything was great until his grandfather passed away. The news came early in the morning. It was a phone call from his uncle to his dad. He was still asleep at the time. When he woke up, Naman found his mother crying. He asked her what was wrong, and she didn't say anything. Well, she tried to, but she kept choking on her words. His dad sat in the living room, a pensive expression on his face. So he decided to ask him what's going on. His dad didn't answer him. Instead, he asked, "Son, could you please arrange for bus tickets to the village? Your mother and I need to go." "To the village? Why?" he questioned. "Your grandpa passed away last night." His grandfather, the one who visited him when he was a child. Memories of childhood flashed before him. "I'm going too, then," Naman declared. His mom and dad looked at each other. "You can't go there, Naman, and you know why." "What do you mean I can't go? It's my grandpa, Dad. I have to. And there's no such thing as ghosts, okay? I know what happened with the well and all that, but those are just imagination of a child. I was just a child back then. I was scared. I'm grown up now. I can handle things. And these things are not real, okay?" There was some argument between him and his family. But blood was blood, and some rights need to be fulfilled. His dad finally agreed. It felt right to return to his grandfather. For the first time in years, the thought of the village crossed his mind, and he wondered how it was. Then he remembered the well. For a moment, he thought about it, but then brushed it off. He wasn't a scared child now. In that moment, he rationalized his previous experiences as imagination of scared child and cemented it. Brushing off all thoughts, he went to get the tickets. The village was around 4 hours of journey from the city by the bus, so it didn't take long before they arrived at the bus stop of the village. From there, it was a walk to his grandfather's house. The village had changed a lot. Stone paths were replaced by asphalt. The pine forest was thinned out and the valley felt more spacious. Naman felt a little strange walking through it, as if he was walking a place that felt familiar but wasn't either. Almost like an outsider visiting a place that belonged to a previous life. He hadn't thought about that place in years, at least not consciously. But the moment they crossed the village limits, something stirred, a phantom touch behind his right ear. You know the feeling? When it feels like something is touching you, but when you look for it, there's nothing there, only the sensation of a touch. That is what he felt. But Naman was so hypnotized by the feeling of nostalgia that he didn't even register it. He even began losing track of his surroundings. "Naman, we're here." His mother's voice broke him out of his reverie. Seeing a listless expression on his son's face, his dad asked, "Son, are you alright?" He shook his head. "Nothing, it's all fine, just the village has changed." His parents exchanged a look, but said nothing. After reaching the house, they were greeted by a seemingly endless number of relatives. How many people could it be, right? Shouldn't be more. Wrong. There were more than 50 people from his grandfather's lineage alone. 150 more from his granduncle's lineages. On top of that, there were villagers, people they had contact with, for example, government officials, contractors, businessmen, and the likes. For the first time, Naman could see how vast their connection actually was. Seems like Grandpa had a great life, Naman thought, and it gave him a tiny bit of acceptance towards his passing. They were in his grandfather's house, sitting through endless recitations and condolences. People came and went, women wept, children played, the priests chanted, and through all of it, the touch stayed. And by sunset, it got worse. By evening, Naman was feeling tired and a little suffocated. He wanted to get some fresh air, so he went out for a walk. The evenings in the village weren't so quiet anymore. The small village square was now a sprawling marketplace. Hoping to get to a more quieter and a more fresh section of the village, he started walking towards the back. Soon, people on the path became less and less. Eventually, the paths were empty. Naman leaned against a wooden post, staring down the road. He remembered this place. This was the road that led to the grove, the one he wasn't supposed to go near as a child. Curious, almost 15 years later, has it even changed? Is it still there? He started to walk towards it. The grove hadn't changed, neither was the well. It was still there, a monument of fear. Hadn't aged a single bit. From the distance, it seemed like it was frozen in time. The pavement was still littered with leaf plates, the clay lamps still burning, flickering in the unfelt wind. Then he heard something. A single drop of water falling inside that well. He blinked. It was a very familiar sound. Exactly the same sound he heard when he reached for that ball years ago. Naman's breath caught in his throat. 1,000 thoughts raced through his head. What was that? Was that real? So whatever happened back then wasn't just him hallucinating as a child? The curiosity was overwhelming, but deeper below that curiosity was something else. Fear. However, the situation was too stimulating for him to make sense of. He had to get to the bottom of it. The one thing he failed to realize, the well was tens of meters away from him. Is it even possible to hear a water drop from that distance, falling deep in the well? But he wasn't thinking all that. He walked forward towards the well, and for the first time, he took a closer look at the offerings on the pavement. It was the same as he remembered. A leaf plate, and on it, sweets, an oil lamp, some meat, and a red cloth, and a mirror. Back when he was a child, he had seen this plate up close. He admitted that he was too young to take notice, but a mirror? He hadn't seen that. Or had he? He doesn't remember. He looked a little bit more closer. A container of vermilion. He was staring at it and then again. the dripping sound. That scared him a little bit, so he backed away, all the way to the trees. His back was against the tree trunk now, and he felt something. He looked at what it was, and threads, red threads, so red it looked covered in blood. It was wrapped all the way around the tree trunk. Then he noticed something else. Almost all the trees around that well was wrapped in the same type of thread. When he saw it, the fear turned into realization really quick. Something was really wrong. He had heard of certain rituals, even though he didn't believe in it, but he had heard of it. And that's when this thought came to his mind. This well holds something that should not be let out at any cost. Realizing he was somewhere he shouldn't be, he took off. Then, right when he was just outside of the grove, he stopped, turned around to have a look. Why? Even he doesn't know. That well looked ordinary from this distance, but the adult inside of him was telling him that looks can be deceiving. Thinking he should get home soon, he turned to leave, and there was an old man standing right in front of him. That same old man, the one that he met as a child, the same man he had seen years ago on that exact same spot.
I told you to never come here again. Watch your turn.
Man screamed at him. The shock he felt was paralyzing. That same old man who he had met as a child, that same old man who had helped him as a child, but now he was angry. Raging would be a better word. I was just taking a walk. Well, who was he talking to? There was no one there. The old man had just disappeared. What the hell? This was just too freaky, too bizarre. He needed to get out of there, so he ran straight home, but told nobody of what happened. One of the reasons he told me was that he didn't want to be labeled as someone who's scared easy or start seeing ghosts right after his grandfather passed away. After all, they don't exist, right? Ghosts don't exist. Naman wasn't so sure about that anymore. The events that occurred in that day had started to take a toll on him, so he decided it would be good if he took some rest. According to the customs, when there is a funeral at a home, there is a vigil of 13 days that is kept. 13 days and 13 nights of vigil. The family members are allowed to sleep, but there would be locals who would keep them company. The locals would stay awake all night and keep watch. Everyone was awake at that time. People from the village, local ones had gathered in the courtyard, and there was a healthy amount of chatter. With the events that occurred before, obviously Naman wanted to get some peace and quiet. He lay there, recalling the events that happened before. It was late in the night, and it was just him and his thoughts. Though he could also hear the wind. The what? Where was the wind that he was hearing? Chirping of insects? Nothing. As if the world had just died and keeled over. He couldn't hear anything. He was alone in the room, so he got up and looked around. There was a sound from the wall. He couldn't figure out what it was, but he felt watched. And it was a little suffocating as well, so he moved to open the window, and he froze. What he saw there sent a chill running down his spine, because there was something at the window. There was something on the window. A shadow of something that was standing outside, and it was staring right at him. Naman froze. He watched as that thing opened the window and climbed up. He tried to move, he tried to speak, but he could not. It was like he was paralyzed. When that thing was visible, it was wet from head to toe. It was dripping with water. Its limbs were matted, and its hair covered its face. Its limbs were long, unnaturally so, but its legs were short, and its arms dragged on the ground when it walked. That entity sat on the window and kept staring at Naman. Then, without any warning, it jumped. Naman desperately tried to move, to shout, to do something. It was still approaching. Naman heaved an enormous effort and found himself waking up at the bed. A bad dream. He had fallen asleep and had a nightmare. That dream had really disturbed him. He just sat there for a few minutes, trying to catch his breath. His throat was dry and parched. He needed a drink. Thankfully, he kept a bottle of water on the bedside table, so he went to get it. He stepped down from the bed and the floor was wet. There was a bottle of water right where he was standing. Had he knocked the water bottle down? He turned the nightlight on. The bottle was still there. So where did that puddle come from? He turned the lights on and there was a trail of water from the puddle near his bed to the window. This was strange on a whole new level. But one thing was very clear to him. Whatever that thing was followed him back to his home. Things were getting serious. There was a knock on his door and he heard his mother call. "Naman, are you alright?" He opened the door. "I'm okay, Mom." We heard a scream. "What happened?" His uncle asked. His entire family was there. "That. Come see for yourself." He showed them the puddle, the water near the bedside, along with the trail that led to the window. Every single one of them was shaking in their boots, especially when he told them the account of what happened back in the well, back in that evening. When he was questioned why he didn't tell anyone about it, he said it was inappropriate to bring this up at this sensitive time. A corporate response, something that he used as a defense mechanism. But it was kind of fair too. You don't want to bring up your own problems when there was a passing in the family. It hadn't even been a day since his grandfather passed, and now this. But regardless, his family thought otherwise. A solution was needed. "When is the priest coming tomorrow? Maybe he can give us a solution," his dad stated. The situation was pretty urgent, but it wasn't appropriate to disturb the priest this late at night. It was 1 a.m. in the night. It was already a grievous situation, but a family member's suffering, well, that made it even worse. But remember that saying? Sharing happiness makes it more, but sharing grief makes it less. With the entire family sharing his problem, things didn't seem too heavy for Naman. A blessing. Next day, when the priest arrived, Dad asked him for a private meeting. Naman was also sitting there. They hadn't even said anything about what happened yesterday, but the priest was staring at Naman intently. Dad noticed and asked, "Is everything alright? Why are you staring at Naman like that?" "Nothing, I'm just wondering, how is this child even alive?" "What nonsense are you speaking?" Dad recoiled at the priest's word. After all, who wants to hear about their child passing away? "You went to the well, didn't you? What's after you is terrible, son." He then turned to look at Dad. "You are one lucky man. Your son is being protected by Bhairav. Maybe that's why that thing in the well couldn't take him away." "What do you mean, sir? What's in that well?" Naman asked. "Something not of this world. According to the elders, 50 years ago, when this village had been settled, that well was found. Yes, found, not built. No one knows who built it, but it was useful, a ready source of water. The water was clean and drinkable, so the villagers used it. But after a few years, strange disappearances started to happen. People who went to bed the night before were found missing the next day, and their bodies were not found. What's that got to do with the well?" Naman interjected. "Whatever was in there was feasting on people's lives. They found out later when a child disappeared and his body was found in the well, floating. The men who went to retrieve the body also found a channel underground that connected to a cave. The missing body were found there. People discontinued its use after that, and a tantric saint was called to remedy the situation. I don't know what they did, but they somehow managed to limit its influence to the well. Things went well after that. Before the saint left, he instructed the villagers to present offerings and never to get close to it. As to who those offerings goes to, even I don't have an idea of that." Naman was having a hard time believing all of it, but whatever happened right in front of him could not be ignored. "What should we do?" Dad asked. What else? Go to Gorakhvira," the priest replied. "He is still around?" Yes, he is." "Then we're going to him right away." Naman's dad got up. Please take care of the guest, he told the rest of the family. I'll take Naman to Gorakhvira now. Mahinder, you come with us as well. Mahinder was Naman's fifth uncle. He had 9 uncles and 4 aunts. Anyhow, Naman's dad and his uncle went to visit Gorakhvira. And Naman noticed something. This part of the village didn't seem to have changed as well. As a child, he had wandered all the parts of his village, so he remembers each and every house, each and every place. He also remembered Gorakhvira's hut, but they never really wandered too close. When they reached the hut, he was sitting right outside.
Came back again. Didn't I tell you not to return?
No hellos or hi, straight to business, and he seemed a little irritated as well, like a parent when they tell a child to not do something, but they do it anyways. There was a death in the family, his dad said, composing himself. Gorakhvira looked at him, thought for a bit, then looked to the side as if listening to someone. There was no one there. He then looked towards Naman.
Went to the well again, did you? I know what you're here for, and you're lucky. Master is on his way.
Master?
The Grand Master. My master. The one who taught me everything. The one who's going to help you. And the only one who can help you.
However, Naman had a few questions of his own. That thing in the well, what is it?
Not something of this world. It comes from...
Before he could finish his sentence, the Grandmaster arrived. Naman was shocked to see that the Grandmaster looked so young, like teenager young. He was expecting someone older, and he's the one who taught Gorakhvira everything. The timeline was not connecting in Naman's head, because the path that Gorakhvira was walking onto took years and years of learning, even lifetimes. So how could the 16-year-old teach Gorakhvira that? But he remained silent out of respect. Gorakhvira then told Naman's family to go outside and leave them alone. So in the end, there was Naman, Gorakhvira and that boy inside the hut. Then Gorakhvira introduced Naman to his master. The master didn't even look at Naman. Gorakhvira then bowed and left. So far, the master hadn't said anything at all, but somehow there seemed to be an invisible exchange between his master and Gorakhvira. Strange. Once, it was only him and Naman in the room. The master then turned his eyes towards him. As soon as their eyes met, Naman went unconscious. What happened after that is still a mystery. But after that, Naman never faced any incident of that sort. After, they did invite the Grand Master and his entourage for a meal after the 13-day vigil was done. In the end, Naman decided to take a picture of everyone. That kid, the Grand Master, did not come up in any pictures. In his place was an empty seat and a dirty plate. You could tell that someone just ate from that plate, but the person who ate it was someone you could not see at all. He then inquired about that old man he saw near the well. That's when he got to know that that old man had passed away 25 years ago, and he was protecting the people of the village. He was also asked about the threads that were tied to the tree trunks. Those threads were sealing threads. They were tied to the trees to seal the thing that was in the well. The offerings were for the spirits that were invoked for the sealing. I'm not going to go into detail about who those spirits were, but just to give you a hint, the 64 Joginis were invoked for this sealing. When the photos finally were developed and came to Naman, he was shocked to see that the boy never turned up in any of the pictures. He then went to the priest with it and asked about it. The answer that he got was strange. How do you know if it was his material body that came up for the meal or not? It could be that he was just a soul and he had been practicing for lifetimes on end. Things are more stranger in this world than you realize. There are hidden secrets, and most of these people, most of these spirits who have attained enlightenment don't interact with humans as commonly as others do. Be respectful of everyone. With that lesson, Naman departed from that village, and then he never went back again. Even now, when he was amply protected, he still never dared to go back to that village. The lesson in the story is that just because you don't believe in it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. The world is stranger, much stranger than fiction. Be careful of where you step. Second of all, keep your friends and family close. They're the only ones that will come up for your help. And no matter what kind of mistake you do, there will always be help for you. So don't lose hope. You are not alone. May the spirits guide you. You're watching Dread Whisper. Stay tuned till the next video. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this story and if you got something to learn from. Do let me know if you liked the story, if you liked my narration in the comment section. Also, leave a like, sub. Well, the buttons are given, do whatever you want with it. Anyhow, if you learned something from this video, make sure to share it with your friends and your family. Till the next video, stay tuned with the channel. I'm Vivek and you're watching Dread Whisper. Till the next time.